You are done.
Welcome back to the Geek Fix right here, exclusive to Patreon. And there is a little special from South Park covering Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars, Disney, and basically burying everybody, called the Panderverse. And people were asking me to talk about it, but I wanted to wait until I had Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing all right. Happy November, man. Almost time to break out the Christmas tree.
Absolutely. And then you take it down in July.
Yeah, exactly.
Around there. So this Panderverse thing was an absolute burial of kind of everybody, even bury the fans a little bit, which is one of the things I've always appreciated about South Park, is their equal opportunity burial guys. They will bury everybody in the process. But it definitely feels like Kathleen Kennedy got the brunt of it. Even she came off as worse, I guess, than Bob Iger even in this damn thing.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I saw a lot of people that were kind of criticizing it and saying like they didn't go hard enough in the paint, against Bob Iger. But I think that's coming. There's a little stinger at the end where, the thing about South Park is you always get that point at the end where like usually it's Kyle or Stan who say, I learned something today, and then they give you like the kind of the lesson of the episode, a little bit of a sarcastic bent. Well, this time it was Kathleen Kennedy, and at the end she's like, I've learned, and we're never going to pander in our movies again.
Never going to do this again.
And right when she says that, Bob Iger's like, yeah, sure, Kathy, yeah, sounds good. Like you're just like, oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Well, obviously, the big point of the show, and they roasted a lot of things in here, was replacing established characters with female diverse lesbians, which was a big part of the show. And it just came off as funny. And like the female minority version of Cartman, who's just as terrible of a person as Cartman, but saying it with a different voice, but the exact same perspective, not really doing much different with the character, and then pointing out, hey, PC Principal, don't you think this is weird? This isn't really Cartman anymore. No, it's not weird. You should definitely accept this person. If you don't, you're all going to be in trouble. It felt like the mainstream media talking down to me in my real life.
Yeah, no, PC Principal has been such a great addition to the show. It's like maybe you have the problem, it's so good. They've gotten, their formula is locked, man. They turn things around quick. It took them a while on this one. It took them a while to notice all this and to take a shot at it. Because this kind of like culture war thing's been going on since probably just before The Last Jedi, but Last Jedi is really what kicked it into gear. So it's been a while for them to notice it, but now that they have, man, they came out guns blazing. And then right after that, you got the 1-2 punch of they socked Kathleen Kennedy in the jaw, and then you had Gina Carano come out and sweep the leg, just take her down. So it's been an interesting week.
Not a good week for Kathleen Kennedy, and I did like the two different versions of Kathleen Kennedy. The real one that's kind of oblivious and didn't realize why people didn't like her movies, and then you have like, I guess, the version of Kathleen Kennedy in fans' minds that is this evil little version of Cartman that is like, make it gay, make it lame, all this kind of stuff. Because she's probably somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? She's probably not out there doing this, destroy Star Wars.
They definitely roasted her, kind of like her perspective, with that. Like, it just seems like that's her what's her go-to? That's what the Cartman version of her just kept repeating. So, I thought they did a great job. Could they have been a little bit more savage? Yeah, but they kind of like, they always walked this line of pointing out the ridiculousness of both sides, and even the fans took it a little bit on the chin. When they pointed out that hey, maybe being online all day and calling everything woke, isn't the best way to live your life.
Yeah, the reveal that actually what drove her over the edge was Cartman's like 12,000 daily letters pointing out everything that he didn't like, calling her the C word. Made her turn towards the Pander Stone, and double down. And, Cartman's like, oh, I see why you doubled down. Well, I still don't see why you doubled down. I guess I'm supposed to be Cartman in that aspect. But it was funny that they were able to roast the fans too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it just plays upon the hubris of the executives. When you say like, hey, this isn't working, this is failing, people don't like this, and the reaction is, well, then we've got to do it harder. It's like just the idea that you are going to reshape the fans into what you want them to be instead of delivering a product that they want to consume. And that's been the arrogance of, the Disney board. It's been the arrogance of Bob Iger. It's been the arrogance of Kathleen Kennedy and a lot of other studio execs besides Disney. It's like they got to a point where they forgot who their audience is and who it is that they're supposed to be serving. And this Panderverse just roasts that so successfully. I don't think there's any coming back from this for Kathleen Kennedy. Obviously she'll still be protected within Hollywood, but now the general perception is out to the normies, people who weren't aware of kind of the culture war and aware of, who was responsible and who the fans viewed as responsible. And now it's all out there and everybody's talking about it. And just how do you come back to that? It's time to call it a day. It's time to retire.
Yeah, it's one of the things that the guys behind South Park do. They definitely go after the sacred cows, no matter where they are. And sometimes I think it's really funny. Sometimes I think it's kind of mean. This is definitely more funny than mean, in my opinion. And I just wonder, is this going to make it okay for people outside of South Park or people outside of YouTube to actually point out all the enormous mistakes, not just Kathleen Kennedy is doing with Lucasfilm and Indiana Jones and Star Wars, but all the mistakes going on basically across Disney? Are we allowed to actually acknowledge it and not call everyone racist every time they point out you're doing the exact same thing over and over again? That's been roundly rejected over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think now it's safe to say it, because even Variety, even the industry rags are starting to run articles about, like, is Marvel in trouble? You still see articles out there that are kind of like dancing around the problem. They're saying, like, oh, Disney's in trouble, and here are the reasons why, and they're not really getting into the politics of it, but they're starting to talk about the problems at Disney, which before, if you said anything negative about the company, if you didn't, fully support them and every decision that they were making, you were attacked by the mainstream media. So it's interesting to see that worm turn, and it makes you wonder, like, did the checks stop flowing? Is that what happened now that Disney's having more and more financial problems, or people not getting paid off, and now they're bitter and they're finally starting to turn on their corporate masters? Or is this just they've finally recognized the way that the tide is headed and have decided to go with the flow?
Well, I think eventually, once you discover that that people aren't being honest with you, I discovered this a long time ago. Really, the big eye-opening moment was The Last Jedi. And I used to watch Collider every single day. Collider movie news. I would watch their Star Wars show. I'd even watch their comic book show. I'd watch everything that they were putting out. And once I got home and I watched the review of The Last Jedi, and everyone on the panel to a man said it was an amazing movie, I was like, oh yeah, they went to the Star Wars red carpet premiere. Mm-hmm. That's why they're saying this. This has nothing to do with the quality of the film, because these guys legitimately were into Star Wars. They talked about Star Wars all the time, and you could tell that they had definitely watched a lot of the movies. They'd read the books, they played video games, yet they all came to the same conclusion because they had to, because they were bought and paid for it. That was like the moment I'd never watch Collider again. And I think other people, maybe that aren't searching out this information are starting to get that feeling, 5 and 6 years later with Variety and Entertainment Weekly and these places like that maybe you're going to actually have to be honest about whether or not this stuff is good.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about that many times, is the fact that the fans crave, the fandom, they crave honesty. Even if they disagree with you, they want to hear your honest opinion of it. And then they'll argue with you if they disagree with you, and that's fine. We should have those kind of debates. That's what this is all about. But yeah, it just really made us realize, just how many shills there were and how many people were on the payroll. I think Red Letter Media successfully pilloried that with the Nerd Crew.
They destroyed Collider. They went after him hard with the trailer reviews, where there would be nothing on there and they would just be freaking out over literally nothing.
Mm-hmm. No, it's Boba Fett. It's Boba Fett. It just says, like, trailer to be inserted. It also skewered reaction videos, which I personally hate, because they're so fake. And when you get people that are just like watching the episode of Kenobi and they're just like, oh, acting like they're crying and everything because Anakin comes on screen and does a nothing scene with Ahsoka. It's just all so performative, and people can see right through it. It's fun to watch the cringe on occasion, but people see right through that.
So they didn't only just eviscerate Bob Iger and Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars, but they actually went after the multiverses. That was a big, I guess the subplot of the thing that they really wanted to destroy was the concept of multiverses, and how lazy Hollywood writers are, just clinging to this stupid crutch that everything's a multiverse and everything's connected. And it really has like almost destroyed superheroes and stuff at this point. And I'm tired of multiverses, and I like multiverses. I think multiverses are a cool concept that have been so overplayed and overused. And I think they did a really good job. Like, you could tell that Matt Parker and Trey Stone are kind of geeks at heart, and they're fed up with multiverses too.
Yeah, they're just like done. They even have the line in there where it's like, multiverses can be cool. Yeah, in like one movie, but like not a whole string of films. And it is an excuse for lazy writing. When multiverses are done right, they're a lot of fun. They can be really interesting. They can give you some really interesting alternate takes on the character. But when they're done poorly, it's just the laziest thing that you can do. You can write yourself out of any corner. You don't have to put in the time to actually make a cohesive script because you can just hand wave it away with the multiverse. And we've seen that in Marvel, and we're going to see that with the more they use Kang. Although now there's news they may be backing away from Kang and looking to swap out with Doctor Doom, which once upon a time would have made me really excited because I don't care about Kang and I love Doctor Doom. But now, because I love Doctor Doom and Marvel is current day Marvel, I just don't see that working out well at all.
No, it's not going to work out. And obviously, like the worst example in Marvel history is Multiverse of Madness, where you finally get to see, Reed Richards. You finally get to see, Patrick Stewart as Professor X in like the yellow hover fucking chair and all that stuff. And it was just so they could murder them off. Like, whatever, man.
And stupidly. And you gave fans, John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, which people have been asking for. I was never really against it, but never really, completely for it. But, he shows up on screen and you're like, oh, all right. And the moment you start to maybe invest in him a little bit and get, you start to get used to it, they just turn him into spaghetti. Of course, the two people that last the longest against Scarlet Witch are the two women. One who gets killed by a statue, even though she's supposed to be Captain Marvel and be so powerful. And the other is Captain Carter, who is apparently the Captain America in this universe. Always great to see Haley Atwell, but not a worthy addition to the mythos, the way that they handled her.
I tried to watch the show and it just wasn't for me, so I definitely didn't watch the what if Captain Carter stuff. But the only MCU movie that should have had any multiverse stuff in it was just No Way Home, because there was good fan service. It was a pretty good story, and I was excited to see Tom Holland interact with the other Spider-Man. But we didn't really need it more than that. You got it once and it was cool. Don't try your luck doing it again. Obviously, DC ended up paying the price with the Flash.
Oh man, did they ever! And it looks like Marvel's going to pay the price with the Marvels.
Oh goodness, my Marvels is trending worse and worse. So definitely appreciated them just blistering the freaking multiverse and how they're already overusing it, even though they didn't actually introduce it into the MCU until all that long ago. And now we're going to get the big reason to watch the Marvels, I guess, now is you're going to see Beast from X-Men 3, like the worst X-Men movie they ever made. But it connects the MCU and the Fox movie universe into one shared multiverse. So, like, that is not a reason to watch this movie.
I think that they think that the X universe from Fox was that it's remembered way more fondly than it is.
Well, it's pretty up and down. I still think X2 is amazing.
Yeah, X2's really good. Kelsey Grammer is really good as Beast.
It's good casting.
It's fun. Yeah, it was really good casting. He's a little old to be sitting in that makeup chair that long and carrying all the prosthetics around, but he does a good job. Is that enough to get me to go spend the money to see the Marvels? No, hell no. No, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. That clip is going to be online like 2 days later. So if you really want to see it, somebody's going to record it for you and put it up online. And it's just going to be like Monica Rambeau going like, oh, where am I? And then Beast showing up and maybe you'll see the mansion. Maybe they'll do the little music stinger, and that'll be it. Maybe Monica will tell him how, they'll never know how much he sacrificed for them. But just the worst moment from WandaVision.
Yeah, the Marvels, the entire plot was just leaked online, I guess. I was going to do a video on it, but it was such a show. I was like, I don't even want to talk about this. This is so bad. And then I guess the last thing that they really roasted that I thought was fun was like all the men in the town. No, they can't get anyone to fix their stuff anymore. Like they can't even get his oven door fixed because everyone got useless degrees and they're like all sitting out in front of Home Depot offering lawyer services for someone to come and fix their like garage, or I'll do geology for you. If you go and fix my door. And they just, they end up getting mad at college and they're like yelling at a university. Of course, the university isn't responding because it's a building, and they end up having to pay a guy $20,000 to make a catapult so they could fling a rock at it. It goes through the window, but really they end up having to spend another $20,000 to go have a guy fix it. And by the end, they're all like billionaires and blasted off to the moon while all these like super highly educated dudes in South Park like can't get their stuff fixed because they're all rich now. It was great.
Yeah, it's it's unbelievable too. I see people online and they're like, wait a minute, so I got a student, like my student loans were $80,000 and I've been paying on them for 12 years. and my debt is still $76,000. You know, how is this possible? It's like, you need to understand that it's a scam. It is a scam that has been set up to trap you forever. You know, it's you're in debt to Pharaoh. Congratulations. You know.
This is a great moment where the dad's trying to show Kyle how to fix the door to his oven. He's like, "This is how you do it," and he shows him how to call the handyman. Get over here now! I need my door fixed. You know, it's trying to show him how to be a man.
It's so great. Yeah, the way to be a man is to get somebody to come fix it.
And he's like yelling at Siri, like, "No, Siri, I want you to fix the door. Sorry, I don't have arms." Like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "Call a handyman." I tried that already.
Go to trade school, kids. Don't go to college.
He's constantly yelling at his wife, "I'm working on it," even though he just has to remove a couple of screws and put a new hinge on it and screw it back in.
The beautiful irony is that it's like I was never particularly handy. Like my dad showed me a few things. I can change a tire. I can do some of the basic stuff. But over the years, with YouTube, I've learned to fix a bunch of things. It's like, oh, this is broken. I'll go watch a guy on
There's
YouTube
a how-to video on everything.
Yeah, you can I could probably completely drop my engine and do the repairs myself at this point if I had the equipment.
I've never done circuits or anything before in my life, but I got this thing with my oldest son, and now I can solder and stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've replaced parts in my engine that I had no idea how to do it, but thank God for YouTube.
I knew how to weld when I was 15, but soldering wasn't something they taught in like a rural Missouri school with a bunch of farm kids.
I do know how to solder. I did have a class where we were doing making circuit boards and things like that. It's never come in handy in my real life. But
I could have used you. But yeah, it's fun to see South Park absolutely roast people. I enjoyed them roasting the crap out of the who was it, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
But I think this was a better takedown.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And it led to just a severe, brutal takedown from Gina Carano, who, of course, was fired by Kathleen Kennedy for some very mild political statements. Just some really mild takes, but they didn't align with Kathleen Kennedy's vision. And Gina just came out and destroyed her by just revealing things that she was asked to do by Kathleen Kennedy in order to keep her job, and just even revealed some of the underhanded tactics KK took with YouTube, with getting things censored, getting other opinions shut down, attacking YouTubers. It was chef's kiss. We're just seeing such an interesting time this week of all of these bigwigs kind of taking it the shorts, and I'm here for it.
Supposedly there's a treasure trove of emails between Kathleen Kennedy and their storyboard group that are going to be leaked somewhere in the next couple of weeks or something. And apparently it paints a very bad picture. Maybe she's not the aloof moron that she's portrayed in South Park, and she might be a little bit more like the really evil version Cartman, fucking Kathleen Kennedy, that wanted to make everything lame and gay and female.
I don't imagine that you get as high as she has gotten in Hollywood without being a shark. I assume that she is just a brutal executive who deals with people with lead pipe cruelty. So I don't think that anything that comes out would be surprising, but I am here to sift through the desiccated corpse that is Lucasfilm Disney Star Wars.
Are you here for Panderverse too? They got to do more of this, because this has made South Park more relevant than really it has been in a decade.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that everybody was starting to feel. Like I said, it got out to the normies. I've had people who don't pay attention to any of this stuff, and then they'll ask me, what the hell is going on with Marvel? What is going on with these movies? Why is everything so terrible? And they've started to notice, and now South Park comes out and goes, oh, here's why. And everybody goes, oh, and now Kathleen Kennedy's got to be the most hated executive in Hollywood if she wasn't already.
This is just the first part of the Geek Fix, which we do every single Wednesday on the Patreon. Just a little taster there. We're going to go for another hour and 40 minutes of geek talk, talking about the MCU. We're going to talk about comic books. We're going to talk about toys and all that stuff with Aaron Sparrow, which we do every single week. I definitely want to encourage you to go check out the Patreon, give it a little look-see, and perhaps you would like to support the channel on Patreon, where you get over 6 hours of brand new content every single week on the channel as part of the perks on there. And definitely Aaron is a huge part of that. Definitely thank you to him. Check that out, and we'll see you next time.